the official welcoming, our Tuesday tea time. So nice to see everybody. Let me ring the bell. Taking a few breaths, settling into our selected spot, our place of stability, the noble seat of practice where we allow the body and mind to come together. Or at least we allow ourselves with mindfulness to see what's going on in our bodies and in our minds. Taking a few deep breaths. Just letting the breath be easeful and natural, maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth, or in through the nose and out through the nose, whatever feels good. We might want to move in our seat, sometimes rocking back and forth or side to side or around in circles, just finding the place that gravity helps us settle. Letting the feet be flat on the floor, noticing our hands in our laps or wherever they are resting. Having feeling in our buttocks on the chair, having the feeling of gravity at our seat. So we have these touch points, our feet, our buttocks, our hands, or where our arms touch our bodies. We have a place of solidity that we can return to when the mind wanders off in proliferation, extra thinking. Or when it ruminates about something around the past or plans for something in the future. We can come back to this touch point of one of these places. And we can also use the classic description that the Buddha used of the breath, finding the breath. Having gratefulness and appreciation and kindness hold us as we acknowledge the Buddha, that possibility of enlightenment, and the Dhamma, the teachings that we discover for ourselves in this practice, and the teachings that we learn from others, passed down from suttas that were translated, and having great appreciation and paying homage to the Sangha, to each other in our group, to larger groups, to larger sanghas, to all of those teachers that have passed the teachings down in so many different translations of the Buddha, all the way back to the very first monks and nuns and lay people before it got written down, who chanted the Buddha's words in such a way that it was able to be remembered. And so we hold that container of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and the container of the precepts. That of doing no harm. Not taking what isn't given to us. Abstaining from sexual activity that causes harm. Using gentle speech, refraining from false speech. And abstaining from substances that cloud the mind, the heart and mind. And we use these guidance of conduct to help attain the highest fruits of liberation. And it gives us security, knowing that we can be who we are within these stable conditions of safety. Noticing the touch point or noticing the breath at the nostrils or the diaphragm, wherever you're used to finding that stability, finding that doorway into concentration. If we can gently guide and train the mind to attend to a single object of the breath or the changing objects that come to each of our sense doors, we're just constantly bringing the wandering mind back to being on point in the present, letting mindfulness be aware of what's happening. And if we can develop this concentration, we have the ability to see what's happening. Insight can develop. We can see the true characteristics of anicca, anatta, and dukkha, arising and passing away of all conditions. The breath is the simplest way to see this, most directly. And so we're relaxed and at ease in a natural place of breathing. Doing the natural activity of being mindful and aware with interest. Of what's arising in the heart and mind. And gently guiding ourselves back to that touch point or the attention at the breath. Noticing the qualities of perhaps coolness or warmth, pressure. Sometimes there's different adjectives that describe how we feel the breath. Maybe it's jagged or smooth, or how we feel the pressure of the buttocks. There might be tingling or various sensations that we are just present with. Noticing if the mind wanders, waking up in that moment. This too is a moment of wakefulness. We wake up in this moment, seeing clearly that wherever we were, it's gone now. And we're in the next moment. Easeful, gentle, attending to the breath or the touch point, holding ourselves in kindness and being with what arises with mindfulness and awareness. Developing concentration. Allowing insight to arise on its own. Wisdom is there, and we can see from that insight direct understanding of anicca, anatta, and dukkha, all the different ways that the Buddha taught. It always comes down to this awareness of nothing to hang on to, nothing to call me and mine, nothing to personally identify with. Conditions come together, they stay for a while, they fall apart. We are here witnessing it. That can bring great happiness, joy, internal joy at the understanding of this. We can ask ourselves, what is happening in the heart? What is happening in the mind right now? What is the attitude of the mind? Seeing this clearly with mindfulness, without judgment, but with clarity. we may often become aware of the hindrances or the defilements of noticing doubt or aversion, greed, sleepiness and tiredness, or restlessness in the mind. We can notice those with a soft, gentle note, and we can return to that anchor of our practice, that anchor of our attention, without going off on a storyline about how it would be better if we weren't thinking about that. We just drop off that secondary comment. Just come back to the breath or the touch point, or to what you might be noticing at the ear door, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, thinking, but without following long trains of thought, just noticing objects arising and passing away with attention to it so that we can really see clearly that it arises for a moment, it's there for a time period of its own accord that we have no control over, and it drops away. When the object drops away, awareness drops away, and we start in again with the next object of our attention at the inhale and exhale of the breath, or the pressure and release of the pressure at the belly, or the changing objects in the larger field of our awareness. Beginning again, over and over again. I like this quote by a Buddhist nun, Ajahn Sundara. I mentioned it last week. Awareness has a mirror-like quality. We can tap into it right now. Become aware of the mind and body as they are in this moment. Perhaps awareness is reflecting the feeling of sleepiness or of not knowing, the feeling of cold or heat, heaviness or lightness. Reflective consciousness can see things, even the things that are closest to us. It reflects feelings of aversion, anger, kindness, pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, all kinds of things. This quality of seeing, of knowing this reflective mind is neutral. There is no sense of judging or criticizing. Awareness merely reflects the judging or the critical mind. That's what the Buddha is talking about when he says that the Dhamma is apparent here and now. Not tomorrow or yesterday, but here and now in the present moment. And the Dhamma is timeless, not dependent on time. We don't need to be attentive to every detail of our experience, but we do need to be aware and know what we're aware of. This can help the mind to stay fresh. And when we have emotions like worry or anxiety, fear, we pay attention to our thoughts and feelings. Not getting lost in the thoughts or getting carried away by the feelings. Mindfulness is present. We can learn how our thoughts affect our feelings and how our feelings affect our thoughts. We might recognize some as harmful patterns, and this enables the mind to let go. We may notice some as useful, helpful patterns, and we can pursue those. Letting go of what's unskillful and inclining the heart and mind toward the skillful. We continue returning to the present moment, using just enough effort, this kind of spiritual discipline that we need to wake up, to be present in our journey through this life. And this discipline can be accompanied by joy, finding pleasure in all of the wonders that life has to offer, no matter how challenging they may seem. Letting go of our self-cherishing. Noticing when we're attached and grasping. Noticing when letting go happens on its own. Letting that kindness that we are holding ourselves in, that transformative power of our heart, letting this kindness and love be a foundation to awaken and to become free. We're inevitably confronted with our limitations, and we see clearly unexamined conflicts and fears and frailties and confusion. And we can witness this. It's difficult, but we can witness this. Learning, as Jack Kornfield calls it, the art of making mistakes wakefully, to bring them the transformative power of our heart. Beginning again with this very breath, in this very moment. Taming the mind, training the heart. We're each doing our own work as the enlightened ones show us the way. But through this practice, we free ourselves.
Portable heater is on.
Seeing clearly and understanding what is happening can bring peace to the mind. And when we understand the preciousness of this process, we can feel joy, and we can always be interested in looking deeper and deeper. Awareness can be quiet and calm and yet alert and interested in what it knows, what it's seeing. In this meditation practice, we can arrive at the truth, being aware of ourselves and acknowledging the presence of greed, hatred, and delusion in our mind. Noticing our attachment to what arises. Maybe there's pain in the body and there's a wishing for the pain to decrease or go away. It doesn't really matter whether the pain goes away or not. Pain isn't really the issue. The issue is our mental reaction to the problem. Sayadaw U Tejaniya says, when I was going through the worst stages of depression, I had nowhere else to turn but to face my own suffering. Only then did the mind begin to take an interest and begin to find the cause of why this suffering was happening. Sometimes this is what it takes to free the mind from craving and the bonds of attachment. It really helps us develop more interest. When we experience pain, we can learn how to watch anger, tension, or discomfort in the mind. And we can alternate between checking the feeling of the physical sensations and the attitudes behind the resistance. And so, as Ajahn Chah says, do everything with a mind that lets go. Don't accept praise or gain or anything else. If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace. As we continue letting go to everything that we find ourselves attached to, may we remind ourselves to offer ourselves goodwill and kindness in the process. Compassion. May I be with things just as they are. Equanimity. And the joy that we can see happening in others. Uplifting our hearts and minds. The joy that we can have in our own practice. Holding ourselves in our hearts. Hearing is happening. Sounds arriving at the ear. They arise and pass. Impermanent, non-personal. And as we hold ourselves in this kindness, may we also include other beings. Whoever comes to mind. A friend, a teacher, a neutral person. Just allowing the spaciousness of our heart to include others. This boundless, immeasurable sense of well-being, not dependent on anything. May this spacious kindness include all beings. Those beings seen and those that we don't see, those that we know and many that we don't know. People, animals, those that fly, swim, walk, celestial beings, beings in all directions. May all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness. Be free from harm, safe and protected, and have ease and well-being. Anicca vata sankhara upadavaya domino upakitava merochanti te samvapasamo sukho. All conditioned things are subject to impermanence. They arise and pass away. And seeing this clearly, brings the greatest happiness, which is peace. Thank you so much for your practice. It brings me great joy. And may the benefit of our practice, may this effort that we put in be of benefit to all beings.